they told me that the topics in here were pretty free and open. So I picked a topic which is of big interest to a lot of people today, particularly people in Silicon Valley, particularly people in scientific leadership in our country and actually around the world. It's a goofy title, but some people think it's scary. It's fun to think about. So, and there is import in terms of medicine. We're all involved in the field of healthcare because this issue very much impacts our field of medicine and what happens in the field of medicine over the next number of years. So I think about it with respect to me, and you may think about it with respect to you. Here's the hint about what this is about. It's about artificial intelligence. Now, artificial intelligence, let me talk about the definition. It's interesting, if you look at Merriam-Webster, any of the other dictionaries, they don't say artificial intelligence is an area of computer science that makes computers be human or be like a human brain. They say an area of computer science that deals with giving machines the ability to seem like they have human intelligence. Isn't that interesting? Not that they have human intelligence, but they seem like it. All the definitions, the power of a machine to copy intelligent human behavior, not actually to express intelligent human behavior. So let's look at the history a little bit. I, Robot, which recently was a movie, but was a book by Isaac Asimov in 1950, talks about a robot that's non-human, but has a level of human intelligence capability. In 1950, Alan Turing, you know, they recently had that movie about the fellow, the English fellow, that helped break the Enigma machine code. You know, the Enigma machine was the Nazis' supposedly impenetrable coding machine. And the British, headed by Alan Turing, actually broke the code and were able to figure out how the Enigma machine worked. Well, he wrote a paper called Computing, Machinery, and Intelligence. And he said, you know, as we get better and better with computers and computational devices, we ought to be able to approach, or at least to simulate in some fashion what the human brain does. And he developed this concept called the Turing test. And so then people put up prize money so that if you could develop a machine that could succeed and pass the Turing test, then you theoretically were mimicking human intelligence with a machine. You know what the Turing test is? It's reasonably straightforward. If you take a teleprinter, what's a teleprinter? Actually, your email is teleprinter. Your texting is teleprinter. In other words, you have something over here communicating by wire, not looking at each other, with something over here, and they're having a conversation back and forth. Turing said, if the machine is on the one side, if you can carry on a conversation with that machine and it makes you think that you're talking to another person because they can converse with you and you can understand and they can understand you, that mimics human intelligence. That's the Turing test. It sounds straightforward, but if you think about it, it's pretty clever. So everybody's tried to play with the Turing test, and the Turing test actually, somebody just succeeded in achieving the Turing test with an artificial intelligence device, 2014. Now, a lot of the artificial intelligence people around the country are saying, it was a lousy test to begin with, we need a new one, because they didn't like the fact that the Turing test had been matched. Actually, my old alma mater, Dartmouth College, in 1956, was the first conference where this term, artificial intelligence, was coined. They said, you know, we should start talking about this because computer science is becoming more sophisticated. In the 50s, because of this conference, monies were available, grant monies and so forth, and the first research started on the IBM 702. And I had a picture and then it dropped out of my thing, but the IBM 702 in the 50s was, you know, it was a huge room the size of your cafeteria, filled with machines, and that was a computer, and that was the state-of-the-art computer at the time. So monies popped up because they said, oh, we can use machines to think like people, or at least to approach that. 1968, Arthur Clarke, 2001: The Space Odyssey, introducing HAL. Now, really, here's the crux, isn't it? Remember that movie? Hal was the robot, or Hal was the computer. Hal was not nice. Or Hal ended up not being nice, right? And in some ways, Hal was created by people. Hal was supposed to be helping the astronauts, but Hal ended up not being nice in the end, and Hal was pretty damn smart. So that's the part of the scariest of the scary. So next we go, 1974, 1982. Now, all this time, since the 50s, there have been research in artificial intelligence. You know what all those experts said? All the scientists, the guys way smarter than me, that looked at it, they said, waste of time, it'll never happen, we can't do this, we can't do this, we can't do this. The human brain is unattainable. So the money, the funding from DARPA, the government, private industry, the funding just dried up all across the board. And everybody said, no, forget it. So then we get to, everything is in cycles. 1982 to 1987, they have a couple of advances. There's more money because the military is looking and saying, oh, somebody figured out they actually can do this, so let's pile more money into artificial intelligence research. Another resurgence all over the world, universities, artificial intelligence. 1987, 1993, more bad news. All the smartest guys are saying, no, it's just not going to work, guys. We'll never be able to do this. So the money dries up again. They call it the second winter of AI intelligence research. 1997, May 11, Deep Blue, which is IBM's latest and greatest, or it was a few years ago, at least it was in 1997, beats Garry Kasparov, is that how I pronounce it? Kasparov, who's the world's best chess player, beats him. Today, I don't care which chess player you put up against Deep Blue or their equivalents, they're going to lose, period. Beats them all. Now, having said that, what else do you think Deep Blue, what else do you think those computers that are amazing chess players can do? Nothing. That's all they can do. We'll talk about that in a little bit. 2005, robotic vehicle from Stanford University wins the DARPA challenge by driving 131 miles across the desert. Unassisted, unencumbered. It has to figure out its way, go over these little things, move around here, get to a certain place, all by itself. DARPA, you know what DARPA is? I don't remember the. DARPA is the big, heavy-duty U.S. government military research organization. DARPA does, it does military things, but it also does wonderful things. So much of our technology spills out of military intelligence and research endeavors. So many of the things you take for granted that are non-military, non-violent spill out of military research. But there's a reason why DARPA is looking for this. 2005. This guy's interesting, very, very odd. Ray Kurzweil. He predicts singularity for 2045. Singularity has a lot of different terms. It's actually a term originally coined in physics. The singularity we're talking about in AI or in artificial intelligence is the point where, if it happens, the point where computer intelligence matches human intelligence. Human brain here, computer over here, they're equally matched in terms of intelligence. Of course that hasn't happened, maybe it'll never happen. You believe it, you don't believe it. But that's singularity. So Kurzweil said this is going to happen. It's going to happen in 2045. So there's a new estimate since then, and it's now 2029, if it happens. Now, 2029, I still plan on being alive. You all are still going to be alive. It's interesting. So this concept of singularity, where artificial intelligence, as in machine computer intelligence, equals the intelligence of the human brain and the capability of the human brain, currently estimated to arrive around 2029 at the earliest, sometime between 2029 and 2040, if in fact it's doable and if in fact it happens. 2011. I don't care so much about this. This doesn't impress me. I could beat these guys. IBM's Watson, it's another machine, beats two of the champions in Jeopardy. Jeopardy, isn't that like, when did Mickey Mantle, so they think it's impressive. I don't know. Jeopardy is a quiz show, isn't it? Anyway, everybody was very impressed with that. 2014, June 7, Chatbot EG, this is a machine, passes the Turing test at the University of Reading competition. This is somebody's artificial intelligence machine. So, over the line, texting, writing, had a conversation with another individual that went on for 45 minutes. You would have thought you were talking to another person. So, Ray Kurzweil's insight. Now this, I find this really cool. You know, do I believe all this or not? I don't know. But Kurzweil is he's really a strange guy. He's written a couple of books if you want to read them. He now thinks we can all live to be 130, and he takes, he's wealthy, he takes like $800 worth of special vitamins and supplements every day. He's out there. But he's a smart guy. So, let's play a mind game. Let's say you take your time machine and you rock it back to 1750 AD. And you grab somebody off the street, maybe, hopefully, who speaks English, since we're giving this talk in English. You bring them back to 2015, from 1750. Now, imagine what he, she is experienced to. I'm going to say he. Is that okay? Because I want to talk to this guy. It's mind-blowing. Might kill him, the shock. We've got computers, we have cars that run around, we have airplanes in the sky, we have stuff that you can't recognize, we just have amazing stuff. So the guy will see all this, learn it all, and he'll just fall over dead from astonishment. Now, we all agree with that. Now let's take him and say, have I got a deal for you? We're going to lend you our time machine, and we're going to let you go. We're going to put you back in 1750, and we're going to let you go to 1500 and grab somebody, and bring him or her to 1750, and see what happens. So what do you think happens? That's the same time frame, right? Well, it's an impressive experience. You think it's mind-blowing for the guy? Is 1500 and 1750 that much different? It is, but it's not going to kill him with shock, is it? The change, technologically, is different, but not as different as it is from 1750 to 2015. Okay? Do you see where I'm going? So, let's take 1750 fellow. If he wanted to have a mind-blowing experience, he'd have to go way back, before the agricultural revolution, 12,000 BC, before they had anything. Hunter-gatherers, you know, eating berries and chasing down animals and stuff. So, what if you took somebody from 12,000 BC and compared it with 24,000 BC? That's 12,000 years. There's no difference. Right? Looks the same to me, you know? There's no difference, because there's no technological advance. So Kurzweil said that the farther you go forward in history, now I'm going to tell you that Kurzweil's right here, because it's well documented. The farther you go forward in history, particularly modern history, technological advance speeds up constantly. The curve gets steeper and steeper. It becomes logarithmic. You're all in the science of medicine. You know what logarithmic means. That means it goes faster and faster and faster and faster. The concept is referred to as human history's law of accelerating returns. So the further we go forward in time in our modern culture, the more we learn and the faster we learn, and the more we advance technologically. I'm not talking about ethics, and spirituality, and the humanities-related issues. I'm talking about technology. And you can track it. There are all kinds of curves that show this. So, more advanced societies have the ability to advance technologically at a faster rate than less advanced societies. Advancement rate between 1985 and 2015, how many years is this? It's not that many years, right? 30 years was faster than the advancement between 1955 and 1985. If you look at the rate of advancement, if you calculate the rate of advancement technologically in 2000, you could extrapolate that all the advancement of the 20th century, now we're talking all the 1900s, all of that advancement could have been taken place in 20 years instead of 100 years. So if you had that rate of technological advancement, you could have done it all in 20 years, not taken 100 years. So let's look forward. A 20th century of advancement would occur in only 14 years between 2000 and 2014. A 20th century level of advancement would occur in 7 years between 2014 and 2021. You see what's happening? It's getting faster and faster and faster. 20 years later, after 2014, a 20th century's worth of advancement technologically will theoretically happen multiple times within a year. Is that a stunner? You remember the original cell phone? Look at our cell phone. Our cell phone, the computer in your cell phone is better than the original 705 IBM. In the 21st century, there could be 1,000 times the advancement of the 20th century. That's pretty stunning. That's rapid technological advance. The law of accelerating returns is an exponential phenomenon. It gets faster and faster. So let's look at this curve that Kurzweil and other people play with. Here's time. Here's the human progress. Again, we're not talking about progress like in the really important things. Are we getting better and better? Are we being nicer and nicer? We're talking about technological advancement. That's all this has to do with. Here we go. The curve gets steeper and steeper. So you say, oh, wait a minute. I'm going to base this on past growth. This is, I grew up here, so we're only going to be here by this date in the future. That's wrong, because the trajectory is always based on the present growth rate. So this is the trajectory based on this time frame. It's here. But it gets faster, and this has been proven. It gets steeper and steeper. So the correct prediction for where you're going to be at this date isn't here. Based on what I know from the last 20 years, it's way faster than that, from what I've known. It's up here. So look at all these documented curves. Now look at this. Exponential scale, exponential scale, If this is exponential to make it believable. If it wasn't exponential, it would pretty much go straight up. So what's this? This is, oh, sorry about this. Can't even see. Oh, DNA sequencing cost decreases dramatically. Access memory. Look at the random access memory. Dramatic increase. Data storage, magnetic data storage, having to do with computers, dramatic increase. Remember, this is logarithmic, so it's even more dramatic than it looks. It just makes it more easier to understand if you plot it this way. Genes mapped per year, increasing. Fastest possible data transmission speed. Look at this. It's an exponential scale. It's crazy. Faster, computer. Transistor size goes from big to teeny-weeny. And then decrease in the size of computers, big to teeny-weeny. Right? Itsy-bitsy, do you like that better? Exponential growth of computing. Look at this. Decrease in the size of mechanical devices. We now have nanotechnology. That's pretty damn small. Nano? Resolution of non-invasive brain scanning devices. This is going off the map. U.S. patents, look at this, and most of this is technology. Stunning numbers of patents. You don't write a patent without a reasonable idea. The majority of these are pretty substantial things. And of course, I just threw this in for fun. We're getting older and older, so you better keep your day job for longer than you need it. So back to the scariest of the scary. When AI, artificial intelligence, matches and outpaces human intelligence, it's called singularity. It's one of the definitions of singularity. Categories, because the people that are thinking about this have now done a lot of work on it. There's several categories they talk about, because it's here. A1, artificial intelligence caliber 1, ANI, artificial narrow intelligence. The computer that does one thing, but does it stunningly well. Like the computers now that IBM and other people have that will beat any chess champion you want to put up in front of you. Guess what? That's all they do. They can't tie your shoes, they can't pour a drink for it, they can't do anything else. Artificial intelligence caliber 2, artificial general intelligence. We don't have this. The computer that can do what the human brain does. God, don't you think they put a few, just to make it easier on this computer, a few levels between here and there? But that's the next step. Now, this is the scary part. Artificial intelligence caliber 3. Artificial superintelligence. The computer that is much smarter than the best human brains in every field, including social skills, wisdom, scientific creativity. This is from an Oxford philosopher. He's an English AI expert, and he talks about the existential, philosophical side of this. So what's the lead? Today, you have lots of ANI. Narrow, I mean, your cell phone's filled with ANI, your computer's, narrow computational stuff. I mean, I don't care who it is, these narrow focus programs, artificial intelligence, can do it better than you can, whether it's chess or calculus or whatever. And that's okay. They're tools. We use them as tools. It's great. Can't do anything else. The leap from ANI to AGI, general intelligence, the brain is huge. Huge. And it's almost comical to read about and look how they're trying to look at that. They can't get computers to do super duper simple human things. The leap from AGI to the superintelligence, you think that's very huge? No. Because once you get to this, AGI, then the computers program themselves to keep improving. That's just easy, it's like a better mousetrap. So in 2015, designing the computer to beat the best human chess player in the world, that's done. 2015, designing the computer to look at the picture of a dog and decide whether it's a dog or a cat, regardless of how much you program it, can't do it. Incredibly difficult. All these different pictures of dogs, all these different pictures of cats, and you ask the computer, even though you programmed the daylights out, okay, tell me the cats that are in these pictures. You and I do it in a heartbeat. Computer just can't get it done. And designing a computer to explain the meaning of a word in a paragraph from a second grader's book, it's impossible. You know how much money Google spent $2 billion trying to do this? It can't do it. Second grader's book, one paragraph. Johnny did this, and then Susie told him, no, you can't do that, and can't get it, can't absorb it, can't explain it, can't demonstrate the meaning. The computers can't do it. So how does AI get there? And people, I guess, have already figured out there are 3 ways to do it. Well, there are 2 steps. One, you increase computational power. You can get there, but you got to have lots of computational power. Did you see those charts I showed you before? We've already got a boatload of computational power. And in the next 10 years, it's going to be stunningly better with nanotechnology and nanocomputing. So computational power is not the issue. Speed of computation is not the issue. Second step, make that computer with the increased computational power smarter. This is the hard part. 3 ways to do that, they think. One, you re-engineer the brain. You look at the brain, you make maps. We don't have the technology to do that yet, but you say, okay, how's it built? How's it put together? What is it actually? And let's just copy it. And nobody can do that. Maybe down the road with new technologies. And then you say, okay, let's copy it and put it in a big computer and see if it works. They don't think that's a great idea. They think the other way is use an evolutionary approach, performance and evaluation process over and over and over again. Evolutionary approach. So if you believe in human evolution, you don't have to, but if you believe in it, it's kind of a trial and error, and it gets better and better. This didn't work, this dog was born with no legs, and it died, didn't breathe. So then we had a dog with some legs, and but you can program that approach into computers. You can make them try, fail, succeed, try, fail, succeed. Take your succeeds and build on them. And you can make them do it really, really, really fast, right? So finally, make the computers do it themselves. That's kind of what we're talking about. Exponential growth of computing. All this is a database. Here's 1900, here's 1980. One insect brain. And these are computations per second per $1,000. We're pretty much, we're not there, but we are there. We're close. One insect brain. Not very far away, a few years, one mouse brain. So where's the human brain? It's like 2029 or 2040. Now look at this stunner. That computer is as smart as all the human brains? Unless you think suddenly these exponential curves are just going to die. That's not what history shows. But that's coming. 2040? The creepy part. Once artificial general intelligence is achieved, the transition to ASI seems theoretically easy. Because these AGI computers who can go super fast will program themselves to be programmed or be programmed by us to become smarter and more efficient. They'll take over and they'll say, I gotta get better, and I can do it like you wouldn't believe. Way, way, way faster than human evolution. The law of accelerating returns will be in play here as well, resulting in what is already referred to. The AI philosophers talk about the intelligence explosion. Where the logarithmic curve looks like it's almost going straight up, and the advance explodes before your eyes. The process of computers making themselves smarter without any help from humans is referred to as recursive self-improvement. I want you to memorize that, okay? Because when I ask you and I see them, I'll let you know. Recursive self-improvement. So singularity, again, the point where AI achieves the full capability of human intelligence, it's called singularity. Not to be mistaken, there's a term in physics, singularity, and I don't even understand it. But how long do you think AGI, the general intelligence artificial, will remain at the AGI level before it rockets to the ASI level? It should be a matter of months, maybe a few years. Shouldn't be much time at all. Because at that time, computational speed will be stunning. It will be nano computation. So, there's some interesting quotes. Now, this is not smoke and mirrors. A lot of people are paying attention to this. Stephen Hawking, everybody knows Stephen Hawking. Now, that's kind of weird because he sounds like a robot, you know? He has two quotes. I didn't put this out. The development of full artificial intelligence could spell the end of the human race. But having said that, he likes to say provocative things. Have you read his other stuff? One of his recent things is, we better get in our spaceships and start populating Mars and some other places because we got so many problems here that we may not be around for too long. And the other quote he has, let me see if I can remember it exactly, related to this, he said, the achievement of singularity will be the single most momentous event in human history, pause, and it may be the last event in human history. It's like, Steve, come on, listen, lighten it up a little bit, you know? Pass some cookies around while you're saying this. Elon Musk, he's the Tesla space exploration guy. AI is the biggest existential threat to the human race. And Bill Gates, he never wants to be controversial. I'm in the camp that is concerned about superintelligence. So, there's Stephen Hawking, there's Bill Gates, Elon Musk. And I tried to find pictures where they're looking really serious. Most of the pictures are all smiley and everything. So one of the fun things about this, I think, is to think about stuff, right? So what does this mean? What do you think about it? So think about one thing. It's pretty clear. Superintelligence means two things, power and control. Okay? In human history, power, superintelligence, more intelligence means power and control. So we've got to give that some thought. If we achieve singularity and go beyond, what do we do about that? Or what protection for the human race do you put in ahead of time, if you can? Having said this, very recently, this year, 200 scientists involved in some way, shape, or form in artificial intelligence sent a letter to governments all over the world saying, we are very much against the concept of developing autonomous robotic weaponry. Now, it's one thing, you can have a machine gun maybe that has a computer in it, helps you fire it faster or something. Autonomous weaponry means this combat robot that goes out there on his own and does stuff. You say, hey, I want you to go take this town, I want you to go beat these guys up or whatever. If it's very autonomous, then it's like, uh-oh, are we really in control or not? So they sent this letter to all the governments. Obama has one, all these other people have them. All these people, and they all signed it. Musk, Hawking, they said, let's not do this. We know you're developing weapons, but let's not go that level. So what do you think about the ant, and what does he think about you? In 2040, if that computer is looking at you, and you're looking at him, what do you think about that ant? Your intelligence versus his. Most of us squash the ant. But there are cool guys like, who's the big theologian? Albert Schweitzer. Developed this reverence for all life. Albert Schweitzer, when he built his hospital in Lombre, Africa, was very careful. His workers, he didn't let anybody, they dig the post holes, and before they put the posts in, they got in there and picked the bugs out so they didn't get crushed. Wouldn't let them walk on the grass, had special paths. Reverence for all life. If he treated a patient with pneumonia with antibiotics, he said a little prayer because he knew he was killing a bunch of bacteria in order to save this person's life. So he acknowledged that. Reverence for all life was his philosophy. Now this one's really cool. I won't putting anybody in a difficult spot and say, who believes in God, who doesn't believe in God? Let's say that God exists, the kind of God we think of in the, say, the Judeo-Christian tradition. Where's God in all this? I mean, it's fascinating, right? Is he just going to like cut off the curve right before singularity and say, okay, enough is enough? Or is that part of the plan, or who knows? But I think it's fascinating. The current thinking is that singularity will arrive between 2029 and 2040, right? I mean, I think most of us, all of us, we're going to be here. Your kids are definitely going to be here. What do you tell and advise your children, your friends, your fellow man? What do you want to read this book or don't read this book? Whatever you do, don't read this book, right? Or read this book. How do we prepare? Is it inevitable? Can it be controlled by humans? And I guess the final question, is it real? There have been times where all the scientists have said, like I told you several different times, no, forget it, let's give up, it's never going to happen. But I don't know. That's it. Somber. But it's an interesting topic. But if you think about medicine, in 20 years, that hospitalist robot that can wander around the halls and diagnose and treat, I mean, maybe I only have a few years left of practicing medicine, I don't know.
But is this based on the neuroscience, like all of the activity that's going on in the brain in research? So why couldn't they just connect the brain up to a computer and it does its thing?
Well, I think a lot of people think about that. There was a recent movie, right, where somebody uploads his brain into a computer or something. I don't know. I think maybe that's one way to control things. I don't know.
But they say that we've only mapped 5% of the brain.
Yeah.
So
I'm not a neuroscientist. And this all comes, you understand, this all comes from the computer science, artificial intelligence community. And they are not neuroscientists, right? They just say, one of the ways to get there, to get to singularity, is to just take this brain and figure out how it works and copy it. And just copy it over here. Nobody can do that now, but yeah, it's an interesting point you make, because these are not the neuroscientists talking, and they actually should be involved in the dialogue, shouldn't they?
I would think.
None of them are neuroscientists.
That's interesting.
None of them are biologists. They're all computer science wizards.
Wow.
But their machines are getting smarter and smarter.
Yeah, yeah.
And the prediction is that here we've got these, unless something happens, that all these curves are just going to go flat. Because, you know, it's like, life in the intelligent life. I don't want to get mad at me, but you know, the theoretical mathematicians, the statisticians have looked at that. Given the size of the universe and the complexity of the universe, and the amazing number of star systems, it is as close as you can get to a mathematical certainty, a statistical mathematical certainty that there is intelligent life out there, a lot of it, just as smart as Dinkum, because of the likelihood, the statistics. There's so many star systems, there have to be systems like the Earth or equivalent, either carbon-based or other types, silicon-based life systems. They say it's a mathematical certainty. Now, we'll maybe never meet them or know them because they're so far away. But people didn't think that 50 years ago. So, and these people say singularity is coming. People like Stephen Hawking, he's pretty smart. So they're now having a conference on, they're starting conferences on all these smart people getting together and starting conferences on, okay, what do we do? What do we do? We got to decide now what we can do, if anything, before we get to 2029 or 2040.
On the Stephen Hawking side, do you think, or have any of these philosophers ever said anything about, you see all this exponential growth and all this technology? Is there any predictions that we'll see this, growth, and a drop-off, and a exponential decrease in the human brain functionality as we rely solely on AI? You know what I mean? Through evolution, we become this robotic
I've read a lot of, that's a good question.
system
that's cool.
of humans that can't think.
I don't know, it's, I That's a cool, yeah. I mean, what if you get so doggone dependent that,
You don't use your own.
and then when you get to the point where the computers are doing it for you, and then they're teaching themselves how to do it even better, I don't know. And then you could plug in the human brain. You could say, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take Hawking's brain, or Dinko's brain, or Stephanie Molina's brain, and we're going to upload it into these computers right before Singularity, so that'll be smarter. But, you know, we're human beings, right? We're human beings. I mean, that comes along with human frailties and weaknesses. So, I don't know. So I thought, well, I'll just buy a little cabin up in the Bighorns, and I'll build a moat around it. Because I read something about jumping, the robots they have now that can jump. They can't jump more than about 4 feet. So I built a 6-feet moat. I'm good. And I couldn't figure out how to do it. I was going to download some of the YouTube things, like Google's Spot robot, and some of the other companies' robots. It's stunning. A few years ago, they thought, oh, we can't make them walk. You know, they said, we can't do this. It's just too. And then a few years later, they're all walking. And then we can't make them be balanced. We can't make them do. So they have Spot. Spot's this creepy-looking little thing that, you know, wanders around and stuff, and he goes fast and slow, and he goes over here. And the researcher, Spot goes by, and the researcher goes, boom, kicks it, and Spot goes like this, regains his feet, and keeps going. You know, and they have them. They have some military robots too, and they're watching. You can watch them climbing up this hill with these trees and rocks, and it climbs up over this and goes this way and avoids the trees and stuff. And it's kind of a little mountain or a little hill with they threw cinder blocks on it, and all kinds of obstacles and wires and stuff. And this robot just works his way up the hill. He can't do anything else. But if you attach an intelligent control center, there are robotic weapons, or semi-robotic weapons and stuff.
Well, I think this is like when the second scientist, what was his name? Not Gates and not.
Oh, Musk, Elon Musk?
When he says this is an existential problem,
Right.
we're talking about something that is much more open in terms of its infinite, maybe, possibilities. Are these particular mathematicians looking at something that they want to say, here is concrete, finite, deterministic existence?
I haven't read anything like that. What I've read is that all these people, these science, computational, non-biologic people, are now quite worried. And they see superintelligence coming reasonably soon, and they are planning conferences and meetings and talking to governments and coming. They're saying, we have to plan now, we have to plan now, we have to plan now to avoid problems. And they're actually getting upset. And they're, you know, you read some of that stuff, and they're saying things like, I don't understand why this isn't on the front page of every paper in the world, and why the governments aren't shelling out zillions of dollars to figure this out. But there's a lot of attention, and there's, you know, obviously, you know, how the governments, I mean, obviously, they know about this, and behind the scenes, I'm sure there's a lot of thinking going on.
Yeah, especially the control and power. I mean, you've got these machines, but you've got people who are mathematicians, and I'm just hypothetically, these are mathematicians who are saying, we want to find a formula that this will all fit neatly into and make it, these computers work like humans, but they don't have the total capability, I would think, to think things like consciousness.
Yeah, I think you got a great idea. I think, you know, we've heard enough now from the computational smart guys. Now we need to start hearing from, like, Thich Nhat Hanh and the Pope and, you know, I don't know, some humanists and some other people about, you know, let's hear from the biologists too, the neuroscientists.
Yeah.
Let's hear from, like, writers, painters. I don't know. I think it needs to be more of an open topic. Maybe we'll hear some interesting stuff. What's the Dalai Lama? I want to know what the Dalai Lama says. All right, well,
Thank you.
that's it.